Welcome to today's webinar. I am Maddy Martin. I am the head of growth and education for Smith.ai. We're a 24/7 virtual receptionist service working a lot with attorneys, but many small businesses and professional services owners, in addition to products and websites and SaaS software startups, you name it. We have a variety of clients, but 60% of our clients are attorneys. And Sam and I have connected, and he is the master of sales funnels, and he is an attorney himself. He broke into this business and he's had wild success. So I wanted to host him today so that he can share his knowledge with you, what he's learned, and how you can apply it to your own business. We'll be talking a lot about law firms as the example, but there are practices here and tips that apply for every single business. So don't go anywhere if you're not an attorney. You can definitely apply his advice to your business as well. So without further ado, Sam, it's great to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much, Maddy. So yeah, I am a young attorney. Started my law firm 6 years ago. And now when I started out, I went on my own, decided to go on my own, but I didn't know how to generate clients at all. And I exposed myself to learning as much about it, as much as I could about how to generate clients online. And I got exposed to this world of funnels. And at the time, this was almost 5 years ago. At the time, it didn't feel like there were many, or if any, lawyers that were applying these funnel concepts to the legal field. I got super intrigued by it, kind of fascinated and kind of obsessed. And I started implementing it and creating it and getting success from it, and started duplicating it over and over. Where now I'm at a point where I've probably built over 120 funnels. I don't even know at this point how many funnels I have active, at least 20, if not more. But it's a very cookie cutter kind of process. Once you understand the concepts behind it, it could definitely be applied to any type of law, any type of business. It's just that if there's people that exist that need your services, that have problems, and you could somehow serve them, a funnel is just a system for you to be able to go get those people and get them to hire you. That's basically what a funnel is in a very short summary. So let me now share my screen and share with you guys the presentation. All right, so Sales Funnel 101, how to convert more leads beyond your website. And if you stay till the end, there'll be an extra bonus for those that stick to the end and are engaged. Maddy, I hope we'll get some good engagement today, and please let it be interactive. And if you guys have any questions that comes up, just put it in the chat and I'll get to it at the end. I'll share with you guys my ultimate list of virtual law firm tools. If you guys, the reason why I call it ultimate, because it really is the ultimate. Because when I started out, I'm very structured. I started, every tool that I got exposed to, I'm like, let me keep track of it. The result of that is 13 pages of every online tool that you could think of. But I don't just put everything in there. Very systematically, I chose the best ones, and they're also ordered from the best to worst. So let's just say if you want to make videos, usually the first couple of ones are the best ones, and then the ones that are like maybe you want to try out or like towards the end. This would be anytime you need a good resource of like, what tool do I need for that? Just put into here, just put into a Control F, whatever that is, and you will find it.
Awesome.
So make sure to stay to the end to receive this. All right, so what has been the result? Again, using funnels to generate clients online, and I've been able to serve over 7,000 clients. I changed my numbers just because there's so many different funnels and so many different things, but at least I feel like it's 7,000 clients. For my main law firm, I've been able to gather 1,185 Google reviews. Yes, every single one of these are real. And if you check on this tomorrow, it will be even 5 more or 10 more than this. And my goal actually is to get to 2,000 before the year 2000 is over. And I know we'll hit it probably by Wednesday. And if you're wondering, yes, I did this all in my shorts. This is what I typically look like when I'm running my law firm, creating the systems, having these virtual admins and whole systems behind it just from my bedroom. This was my reality even before the pandemic. I was teaching about how to use Zoom, how to use Calendly before this pandemic happened. But now we're forced to run this kind of virtual law firm, and I have a lot of experience to share with you guys. But also been able to teach other students, have clients that I do marketing for. I've also been able to receive the ClickFunnels to Comma Club award, which is awarded to people who basically generate at least $1 million online with use of a funnel. I've been actually the first lawyer to do this. And I'm actually a couple of months away from receiving 4 funnels. That's why I left it here on purpose, because I'm going to have 1 and 2 more there, and then a 4th one somewhere else. So again, the concepts and everything is all replicable, can be applied to any type of law, any kind of business. And the reason why I love the award is it gives you some kind of vision. It gives you something to strive towards. And I want all you guys to kind of have that vision of, what is that thing that you want to achieve, and, go get after it. I've also been featured in many podcasts and shows. Hopefully it won't be the first time you guys will hear from me. In the next couple of years, you guys will definitely hear from me more. I also have a program called LegalFunnel, where I teach these concepts to other lawyers. And 70% of our students who go through the program, right now we have 100 students, they leave me video testimonials. And the reason why I get so many video testimonials is that everybody's able to learn these concepts and apply it to, different parts of the law firm. Again, it comes down to, how to generate clients using funnels, how to automate your law firm so that, you're able to work on your business and not be stuck answering emails and talking to clients all day long. And then the third part is also how to gather a lot of Google reviews, which is something that I teach inside of LegalFunnel. All right, let's do it. So let's first address the elephant in the room. Getting clients online is damn hard. Let's not sugarcoat it. It really is. We're in one of the most super saturated markets. There with so many lawyers offering the same services. Big law firms are spending millions of dollars plastering their name everywhere. Millions of dollars are being spent on Google and Facebook ads every day. Cost per client acquisition is going higher, and there's no doubt it will get increasingly more and more difficult to get clients online. Okay, it will always get progressively harder. So and if you don't have a way to stay in front of your clients, your law firm will be forgotten. So how do you stay in front of your clients to make sure they take action with you and not with your competitors? Well, the good news for you guys is that's what today is all about. I'm going to give you guys a very macro kind of vision of, what that is. How do you take somebody to, to get them to hire you? And here's the number one most important success to my success. I'm going to summarize everything into these 2 lines. Ready? Websites lose you money. Sales funnels make you money. All right. And I'm not just saying this. I'm about to show you actual proof of this. So let me share with you guys my story of my first funnel. It was about 5 years ago. And I got an email asking me, hey, can you get me an EIN number? But they told me that they're not a US citizen. And I Googled it, and I had a hard time figuring out exactly how to do it. And I kind of kept Googling it until I found one obscure article that shared about how to get an EIN number without when you're not a US citizen. And I basically used that advice to do the work for my client. And then after I did that work for my client, I'm like, let me just go write a better article than the one that I saw on Google. I wrote that article, posted it on my website. And a couple of weeks later, I got another email. Hey, can you also get me an EIN number? I just saw your blog article. Great. Yes, I can do it. A couple of weeks later, a couple of more emails. And then lo and behold, a couple of months later, I basically realized I'm getting like 500, I'm getting a lot of clients from this. So I'm like, let me go apply it. This would be a perfect thing that I could apply the funnel system for. So I created a funnel for it called EIN Express. And it was my first funnel. And basically the funnel was capture people's contact information, send them to a sales page where the sales page does all the selling for me. That means I don't have to explain, I don't have to get on the phone with everybody and be like, hey, it takes 2 weeks to get your EIN numbers, and this is the process, and this is what it takes. I created this funnel, explains all that, and drove them to an application that captures all the information that I need, gets in the payment, and then once somebody submits the application with the payment, I receive a notification that this client has signed up. Then go ahead and take these answers, fill out their EIN applications, send it to the IRS, get their EIN number. And this kind of idea, this kind of funnel started working out, where basically people would enter the funnel. People would basically, give me their contact information that would get sent to my sales page. The sales page will qualify them and send them to the application. And automatically, 24/7 around the clock, people would go through this funnel and submitting their payments. And then all of a sudden I got to a point where I was literally just, sitting by my computer, just hearing notifications, ding, 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 another person going through my funnel. And I was like, that's when I blew my mind. I'm like, this is so amazing. And the result of this has been at least $1.2 million generated from just this one funnel. This is just a screenshot of just one of my Stripe accounts. I have also PayPal accounts for this funnel. And, and still to this day, still generating me income. Also been able to spend $150,000 with Google ads. Also, doing Facebook retargeting ads with 1,000% ROI. And the reason why, again, it works is because I have the very systematic way of, driving people to my funnels where I'm able to capture contact information, do the, use the sales page to be able to do that nurturing and drive them to take action. And then at one point, this is about a year ago, I'm like, you know what? Let me go look up to see. While I was doing the EIN service, I got exposed to another service called ITINs and started doing the same thing and replicated the same exact funnel for them. For that was also going well. And then I'm like, let me look up to see if the domain of my service is available. And I looked it up, and lo and behold, the domain was available. So bucket list checked. I bought the domain itin.com, a 4-letter domain, which is the name of my service. I'm like, great, but you know what? This is a professional kind of domain where I cannot, maybe I shouldn't build a funnel for this. Let me go create a website for this. Maybe I think a website probably be a better way to be able to pitch this. Maybe I could have different services, different things. And so I went away from basically what I was already doing. And I built a website for itin.com. Okay. And at the time, so again, I have a funnel that was for itin.com. And then I have this website that is itin.com. And I started driving traffic to it. I started basically using Google ads to send people to the funnel versus one that was a website. And the result of that a couple of months later was I was able through the website to sign up 4 clients. However, the problem was that I spent $3,000 to make $2,000. And I realized, I'm like, why is this not working? I'm sending the same exact traffic source that's basically Google ads to this website. Why is it not working? And I realized that websites basically distracts people. When people get to a website, they check it out, they probably click back, they go check out other websites. It's by you having a website, it opens up the doors of like people getting distracted, doing different things. Versus a funnel, it's a very systematic way to drive people to take action with you. And that's what literally just straight up led me to the realization. And a very valuable lesson for you guys is that websites lose you money. So if you depend on your website to basically get your clients online, you're straight up you're not going to succeed. Instead, the only way to get clients online in 2021 and beyond is with a sales funnel. Okay, this is something, again, it's a very bold statement to make that websites lose you money and funnels, making money. But either you kind of have that epiphany now, or you'll realize it and the market will catch on to it in the next couple of years. Again, all the things that I'll be sharing with you is all the things that I've already done to come to this realization. So I want you to take this epiphany and realize, the sales funnel is the way to go. It's the way that you want to be able to generate clients online. So just like CDs replaced cassette tapes and DVDs replaced videotapes, the website has been replaced by something called a sales funnel. What is a sales funnel? It's just the evolution of websites. Most things, change over time, just people's behaviors. Even if you look at your own apps also, over time, I think if you turn on automatic updates, you'll see that the apps usually get simplified. For example, like let's say if you guys have Spotify, Spotify used to give you so many features. You could go here, look at these playlists and things like that. And actually, if you look at it now, it's only like you could only search or go look at your own playlists. That's it. So over time, things get simplified. You want to drive people towards taking simpler, very clear actions of what you want them to do. And that's basically what a funnel is. Just that website, you're downsizing everything, simplifying it, and you're telling people exactly this is the step that you should take, basically. So in 2021 and beyond, a sales funnel is all about survival. Okay, it's not just about whether it's nice to have, but it's actually something that I need to have in order to do well. And if you're wondering why websites don't work, it's because websites don't lead your dream clients to take action. Okay, so when you leave that kind of ambiguous thing of where you're not making it very obvious for your leads and for your clients what they should do next, people get lost and people don't take action. But if you make it very clear what they should do next, then that's when people take action. On the other hand, a sales funnel builds relationships with your dream clients, nurtures them, and guides them to take action. That's why sales funnels work. Again, you're kind of building a relationship, nurturing them, and guiding them to exactly what they should do next. Best way to kind of explain this is to imagine the stages of a relationship. For most of us, the highest pinnacle of relationships that we could have is we could get married to somebody. But in order for that to happen, it's, you need to build up that relationship. So the very first thing you do, when you meet somebody is you go on a very minimal, simple date, on a coffee date, somewhere quiet to be able to, get to talk to each other. If you like that person, you ask them on a second date, then you start dating. At that point, if you like each other, then you become exclusive. Then if things are going well, then you propose, then you get married. It's the same exact thing with when people are looking to hire you online. Look at your own actions. Is that before you hire somebody, before you open up your credit card and give up your money, you need to be able to trust them and like them, build that relationship with them, have that relationship with them before people hire you. So you have to be very systematic with how you build your systems online to be able to, again, build that relationship over time so you get people to trust you enough to hire you. And here's what asking to get married on your first date looks like, which is something that you want to avoid. And this is what most marketing and most lawyers do, is they put up an ad. And they usually, the sure sign of this is they talk about themselves. With more than $1 million verdicts and settlements than any other personal injury firm in California, our team is committed to help you, blah, blah, blah. And you may see a lot of these ads. And the thing is, you probably see these ads once and you never see them again. These ads work for a very short period of time. Maybe they may get lucky and maybe, they'll get a couple of leads here and there, but over time, you don't see these ads just because these ads don't work. Don't be this type of lawyer. I can tell you, if Facebook offers you, hey, just create an ad, and you'll see a lot of the ads, right? I'm sure all of us scroll down, we see these ads. I'm telling you, these don't work. Instead, you need to be very well thought about how you kind of build that relationship over time. Instead, you need a sales funnel. So let me give you guys a very macro version of what is a sales funnel. When people don't know you, they first have to become aware of you. Okay. So that's first level, is just to get people to become aware of you. Let's talk practical terms. How do you get people to become aware of you? There's only two ways. One is either content, where you're creating value, whether it be with videos or, with blog articles, or two, it's with paid ads, which for us lawyers or any business people, it usually comes down to two sources: Google ads or Facebook ads. Okay. So that's the top of the funnel, awareness, which is, again, it's either going to be content or paid ads. Second is you want to gauge whether people are interested in you. So in order for that to happen, you need to drive people to a funnel, which typically in the very first page of a funnel is the landing page, which captures the prospect's contact information. If somebody's willing to give you the contact information, that means they're interested in you. Okay. At that point, they enter the funnel. Now they're in the funnel stage. When they're inside your funnel, your job is to nurture and build that relationship with them. How do you do it? There's only two ways: either through video, with the video could be inside your funnel, or through emails, automated emails that you could send to your clients, to your leads. Okay. So through videos and emails, you're building those relationship. Where you're kind of talking about your client's problems. You make it very clear. This is how I know this is the problem that you're having. This is the solution that I have for you. And you drive people to one of two things. For us lawyers, it's one of two things. It's either scheduled bookings or give me a call now. That's it. And you make it very clear what you want people to do, because most people are going to be in that decision stage whether they should hire or not. Once you make it clear exactly what you want them to do, people will do a scheduled booking with you for the most part, or give you a call. And then your conversation becomes where you do the selling. Okay. So a very systematic way, again, content or paid ads, funnel to capture contact information, funnel to nurture and build a relationship, to drive people to do a scheduled booking or give you a call. So that's where you could retain them over the phone. That's basically a funnel. And 5 years ago, as soon as I started learning sales funnel concepts, I started applying them. Fast forward 5 years and over 120 funnels later, and now pass on these lessons and these things through a program called LegalFunnel. Started this earlier this year. We have over 100 students so far who've been through kind of understanding these funnels and applying it for themselves. And the good news is I hand over everything to you guys. That means the funnel is already built for you. And I just make it very easy where I kind of give you guys everything and I tell you exactly how to fill it up. And then once you fill up your funnel, okay, now how to get people to come through your funnel and then basically how to make sure that it's successful. And you guys already know, again, social proof, and you guys already know about all these things. This is something that, again, all these concepts are not with funnels. They're not going away. A lot of people just because they don't understand it, they're like, oh, it could be a little fad. It's not a fad. This is just the reality of what it is. And I do imagine the world where pretty much every website is gradually going to turn into a funnel. You're not going to see websites anymore, this fancy with images of the teams, all that stuff. Anybody who is doing it like that over time will transition into the very streamlined, clean, simple way to drive people to do scheduled bookings and basically to do calls with you.
So Sam,
Yeah.
I have a question. Well, actually, I have a few questions from attendees so far. So there's this concept also of the sales flywheel. What does that mean in this context? Like, is that a synonym here? Is it similar, related? Can you define that for us in the context of sales funnels?
Sure. Actually, I don't teach about sales flywheel, so I don't have any expertise with that. But I'm assuming it's the same concept. Again, with funnels, the very first thing you want to do is to capture your leads' contact information first. Second is usually nurturing. Mm-hmm. And third is a very clear call to action of what you want them to do.
So do you find that people are more likely to want to make a call or want to schedule an appointment in this day and age?
Yes, absolutely. For sure. Most of your clients will come through scheduled bookings. And let me just explain to you why that is. When people do scheduled bookings, they're a lot more serious to take action because they've set aside a part of their time in their day to talk about that. Versus if people are just calling you, then it's kind of like at the whim of, let me just get some information here, let me get some information here, price shopping. It's not, they don't take it as seriously, but when you qualify them on a scheduled call at the scheduled time, just people are a lot more serious and more likely to take action. And also on the second part is when when it's very systematic, you get to pick your own schedule, so that's where you get to pick your own flexible schedule. And so that you don't get burned out, just taking on calls, throughout the day. I create these funnels so that I don't have to get stuck with answering my phone 24/7 or answering emails.
We're familiar with that. Right, exactly.
You want to talk to me? Go ahead and schedule a time, right? You don't want to deal with that 24/7 around the clock.
Even our clients, Sam, we schedule appointments for them because we know we don't want to interrupt them because it does kill productivity. It also, causes that lead who's on the phone to really make sure that they're serious. It's almost like a self-qualifying event, right? Now, there is another question about, from a bankruptcy attorney who is saying, honestly, my clients are telling me that they don't really have a need right now. Oh, everything is going to be put on hold. I'm fine during the pandemic that we're, talking right now during COVID-19. What do you say to attorneys whose leads are pushing back that now is not a good time for them? Maybe they're sort of exploring, oh, I'm doing my research and I'll resume this in the new year. How do you convey a sense of urgency and sort of get around those arguments?
Sure. So no matter what, you need to get people through your funnel and make sure that they're being nurtured throughout this time. So even if bankruptcy and it's not a prime time, but you still should be bringing up plenty of people who are possibly might have bankruptcy or credit card issues, so that when the time is right, then you will capture them. So it's a I don't think of it as a seasonal thing. It's a 24/7 evergreen kind of funnel where people are entering your funnel 24/7 around the clock. There are some niches that are easier because there's a little bit higher urgency behind it, such as, let's say, bankruptcy, employment, personal injury. It's inherent urgency, I like to call it. But for other ones, you have to build the urgency behind it, such as business law, estate planning, things like that. So there are
Driving the
ways.
emotion, basically, family law, are you experiencing this or that? Oh, yes, well, I am. And that starts to hit to the emotions, right?
Yeah, and it really comes down to asking the right questions. Why is this important for you? Why now? What happens if you don't take this action? If you ask those questions from them, and then you use their answers right back at them, then it'll be even better. You don't have to tell them. Just ask them those questions, and once they say that, they're like, okay, well, I can help you today. Let's get started.
Right. Okay. And then are you also a proponent of sort of e-document, e-signature so that you can get clients to sign after they have that consultation? How do you automate sort of the next step in that funnel, that journey?
Sure. Yes. 100%. As you said, using as many technology to save you time is a must. Not like it's better. It's a must. So 100%. DocuSign, Calendly, anything that saves, any software that saves you time, sign up for it. I see a lot of holdback with lawyers. Like they start like um, price shopping or asking, is this worth it? I've used so many tools, and I can tell you, let me give you the mindset behind it is that softwares are the best value by far you get. Just like how does Netflix, how can you get unlimited shows, unlimited movies for $12 a month from Netflix? How can they do that? It's because it's a software that they try to, if they get more of the market, then that recurring revenue is, obviously brings a good amount of revenue for the company. And now they're able to disperse that value across millions of people. So any software, I can tell you, is hands down worth it. So don't even question it. Just it's worth it. Most investments in business are worth it. At the very least, you're going to break even, if not better.
And you might as well test it and then determine, what the winner is, basically. I think a lot of the things that we see, a lot of the behaviors, with attorneys and other professional services owners is there's an analysis paralysis. Oh, I'm not ready to move forward with this new marketing funnel or software automation, case management software. We see a ton of analysis around that. And at the end of the day, if you're signing up for a month-to-month service or something that can be, reversed, then why would you not test it and actually confront the hypotheses that you're building? Now, one of the things that I want to dig into, and there are a few other questions that are coming in. One of the things that I would really like for you to dig into after you've built all of these funnels is what should you definitely not do that you were probably convinced early on was going to be a win? Like, what were the slam dunks that weren't slam dunks?
I think if a lot of people are doing one thing, you should run the opposite direction. So I don't believe in SEO and blogging as much as other things that you could do that are going to be more bang for your buck, for your time than that. So SEO, I'm kind of anti, even though I do, by the way, I do SEO and content marketing myself, but that's only do it because I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years consistently. But for somebody just starting out, I would not do SEO and content and blogging. Instead, if I wanted to do something like that, I would do a lot of producing content on YouTube. I think YouTube is very untapped, and still there's huge opportunities there.
I agree with you completely. Now, speaking specifically to the funnels, maybe let's talk about, the landing page or different calls to action that you've tested over the years. Do you find that there is a better call to action? Schedule an appointment, get started now, learn more. Like, these are obviously applied to websites, even social media and the ads there, even like back to the Google ads that you might be using. There's a call to action. What's most effective in your experience?
Sure. So that call to action depends on where it is on the funnel that you're showing it. But let me just give you some general things. So one is you want to be very specific. So nothing about necessarily learn more. It should be very specific to exactly your niche. Start a business, learn more about this. So get specific. 2 is make it very clear button. So make it red, make it orange. Don't make it the
High
same
contrast.
Make it contrast with something that contrasts with something against. So the picture, whatever the color of your picture is, of the button is should not be that picture, that color shouldn't exist anywhere else on your website. So make it very clear. And the third is the placement of the button, of the call to action. First is on the top right, very obvious place is your most high value place. Second is you need to have that clear call to action throughout your website and throughout your funnel. That means not just once, but as many times
If you
as
just
you
read
can.
something, you want to take action now. You don't want to have to scroll through the page and find that button and then you give up.
Right. Because the whole point of any page is to drive people to the next page. Yeah. So, if you need to make it very obvious what you want people to do. I want you to read this and then go to the next page, because that's what I want you to do.
So I think a lot of people would say, you know what, my website's pretty optimized. Like I have that button on the upper right. I have my homepage with a button. I say clearly schedule a consultation with me. Like, I'm doing the nurturing and follow up. I have the emails automated. I have Smith.ai. They make call backs to my web chat leads, whatever. How is that suboptimal to the funnel? Is it just that it's on one long page? Is it just that it's very sort of constrained in terms of the different options and the paths that someone can go down?
Exactly. And I think, instead of talking about it, let me just actually show it. So
Great.
instead of our legal funnel, I share 3 funnels with our students. And again, applying all these funnels to our legal field, I've been able to figure out, okay, there's only 3 types that is really going to be relevant for us. The first one is, I call it a high ticket funnel, which is basically whenever you need to get somebody on the phone that kind of needs kind of nurturing. That's probably the one that's probably most relevant for most lawyers. Again, nurturing plus getting people on the phone. So estate planning, business law, bankruptcy, anything like that, where kind of requires that nurturing. That's what that is. And I'll show you guys exactly what that looks like. The second one is more for urgent kind of matters, where people kind of like, they have this problem, they Google you or they look you up, and then they need your help right away. So let's just say for DUI, personal injury, employment, things like that, where it's immediate, I need your help today. It's call now funnel. The call to action for this is call me, call this number. That's it. And the third one is a low ticket funnel. That means if you have any service that's usually about $500 or less, then you want to, instead of sending people to a booking, instead you could send them to a sales page where the sales page basically does your selling for you instead of you needing to get on the phone. So for the one that's most relevant for you guys is this high ticket funnel. Let me show you guys exactly what that looks like. The first page of every funnel is typically the landing page. The whole point of this entire landing page is for the people to click on the button so you could get their contact information. So it's very minimal, just headline, 3 benefits, button, and that's it. Now, give me your name, email, sometimes phone number. I explain to you when you need to collect phone numbers. And then after they give you that, then the very next page in the funnel, I call it an application page. There's 2 things that you want to do on this page, which is basically show them a video, which does the nurturing. Okay. So the same way that somebody one of your potential clients walks into your office, what do you say to them? Hey, man, I know you have this problem. That's the reason why you're in this office. Well, this is how I've helped people in the past just like you, and here's how I can help you. And then you drive people after people watch watch the video. The next thing you want to do is to do a booking with you. And also on this page, that's where you basically have your social proof. If you have any videos or screenshots, everything, you put that here. And then basically people will schedule time with you, answer qualifying questions. If you want to qualify your leads, this is the best place to do it. And then after people do a booking with you, usually the next challenge is to get people to actually show up to the meeting. So in order to increase those show up rates, you'll have another page that says, hey, thank you for booking the time. This is what to expect, and make sure to basically get people to make sure that they show up to the call. And then also you do further nurturing. Hey, if you want to send people to your Facebook group, then, you want to not provide a little strong bio of you, send people to your YouTube channel to subscribe, showing them more reviews, showing them more screenshots. That's where you do it. And this is it. Imagine this kind of funnel. I know it looks very simple, but it's very systematic and, very, very well thought out to be able to, eliminate everything else and just make it all about this. And this is basically what it takes. This is what most lawyers need in 2021 and beyond.
Okay, so I've got a few questions that are coming through, not surprisingly. So I noticed that you're using Calendly there, which is embedded. Can it work with any calendaring solution that you're currently using at your firm or your business?
Yes, it could work with any calendar system. However, I do highly recommend Calendly over all of them. I think I've used a lot of online tools, and I don't just use it, I also keep track of the data to see how many bookings, how much cost per booking, all that stuff. I can tell you, I've done my experiments and I've seen Calendly convert the best.
Okay, all right, interesting. Yeah, I think that their font, their sort of layout is very easy to read. That's what we use at Smith.ai too. And one other thing to mention, so this funnel is basically hosted separate from your website, right? I mean, we're not expecting that you're going to shut down your website. You're going to test this first. Now, where is this hosted? How does someone set this up?
Sure, it will be hosted on ClickFunnels hosting. So all you do, in practical speaking, is you create a subdomain for your website. So let's just say my website is mollaeilaw.com. The subdomain will be go.mollaeilaw.com. And that will be the URL of my funnel. And then, as you said, Maddy, is that yes, I still have my website. If people want to Google me, they could go to my website. But however, if I produce any content or if I do any paid ads, I want to drive them to the funnel. I don't want to drive them anywhere else, to the funnel always.
So if you are already using scheduling tools through your website, maybe you're having problems with people actually scheduling that booking, what are some tips for people to actually, book that appointment?
I wouldn't push people to just do a booking with you, because again, the booking is kind of like this, a serious dating. But before you go on a serious date, you gotta go on the coffee dates. The coffee date is to capture the contact information first, so you don't want to skip steps.
Okay. So you're saying that basically you may not realize that you're skipping a step. You might be skipping a step in educating them in order to drive that interest and understanding for why they need an appointment.
Yeah. And if you skip that step and you just send people to do a booking with you, then at that point they're not nurtured enough. They don't know, they haven't really been nurtured. And basically, you have a better chance if they've watched every video from you. They kind of can buy into whatever you're offering, and you be able to close them on a higher chance if they're nurtured in a very systematic way.
Okay. There were some other questions around what sort of investment is required. So if you're going to take the time to build this funnel, what should you plan for your Facebook, your Google, maybe even retargeting, remarketing spend? Where is a starting point and where is sort of the average that among the clients you're working with, they're making a certain average investment every month that we should anticipate here?
Sure. So you need to figure out what is going to be your one and your number one and only traffic source that you're going to focus on for the next 6 to 12 months. That's where you need to start. How do you decide what your traffic source should be? It comes down to one question: whether you have time or money. If you have time, then that's basically where you trade your time by producing content on YouTube or writing blog articles. That's where you do that. If you don't have time, you instead have money, then I'm actually, for the second part, I'd rather go pay for it than spending time. Then it comes down to either Google ads or Facebook ads. I have a whole thing about Facebook and Google ads. Google ads is the big kid kid on campus, dominating basically the best source of getting clients online. It's a great source. It does really well. I generate a lot of my clients through Google ads. However, actually for 2021 and beyond, I see Facebook ads as being even a better source than Google ads, because again, everybody is hanging out on Google ads and it's getting very competitive. I always want to be going away where other people are not. How much should initial investment be? These campaigns usually are always going to be your most expensive in your first month. And the reason why it's most expensive in your first month is that Google and Facebook don't know you. They don't know whether you're a legit company, whether you're trying to can you imagine like hundreds of millions of businesses just put up ads? Can you imagine how bad and Google and Facebook would be? People wouldn't trust Google and Facebook, so they have to trust you. So in order for you to build that trust, you need to show Facebook and Google data. Hey, these people, whatever I'm sharing inside my funnel is good. That's why people are opting in and turning into leads, and those people are turning into clients. And if you have I don't want to get technical, but when you tell Facebook, hey, if somebody gets to this page, they became clients, then now Facebook knows, okay, it must be a good offer. So over time, usually basically what this is leading me to is that you want to give everything 3 months with the Google and Facebook ads. So you need to dedicate a budget 3 months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
What is that magic number? Unfortunately, there is no magical number.
Well, and it really depends on how much a client is worth to you also, right? I mean, we're talking about those 3 funnels that you have. Are your clients worth $500 or less? Are they worth a lot of money? Are they worth money over time? Do they come back? Are they repeat clients? Are you on a retainer? Are you outside general counsel? Are you business attorney? Or are you, sort of one and done? And can you even explore other opportunities for increasing revenue over time? Sometimes there are ways to go beyond, just an estate plan, for example. So the question is, are you backing into, and this is for everyone here, the question is not how much money do you need to spend on a monthly basis. The question is, how many clients can you serve? How much are they worth to you? What is your conversion rate? I mean, currently, and then obviously your conversion rate, as we're talking about today, is going to be different with the funnel. If you improve your conversion rate, sort of what's the range that you could spend to acquire a new client? And what we even encourage is, how much would you need to spend to just get that qualified scheduled appointment booked? Because your conversion rate from the appointment for a qualified lead to a client is probably over 3/4, right? So if it's not, and you're finding that maybe 50% or even less are actually moving forward and paying you for your services, then we would see, and by the way, the Clio Legal Trends Report shows that this is happening, with many attorneys. You're not alone if that's happening for you, but you should be aiming for 3/4 or higher of your consults going into appointments. And that can give you how much you need to spend to acquire them, because you need to be making a profit, right? So unless you have a monthly retainer and you make profits over time, and the first month might be a wash, the value upon the consult for the main payment that that client is going to make or will make in the first year, for example. That's how you should think about not only your ad spend, but also other investments that you're making and what your goals are going to be for 2021 to grow. And at some point you may need to bring on other staff or hire an intake specialist or someone who can, or partner up with another attorney who can help increase your supply to meet the new demand that you're generating, and that's a different problem. So another question, Sam, that's coming through. All right, I have this funnel. It's sort of this thing that I'm keeping separate from my website, but I might at some point direct people back to my main website to, read an article that may help them. I've written a lot. I have a lot of great content. What if someone finds me on there and then I want to put them in the funnel? How do these two things interact, your website and your funnel? And should they?
Yeah, definitely. So yes, you may have content on your website where, generates visitors. People come to your website to get that value. You need to make sure, if that's the case, you actually have a significant amount of visitors that are coming to your website. You need to make sure to capture those people that are coming to your website through forms. Basically, you create form captures either on the top right side of your column or throughout your article to capture their contact information. And usually that's when it goes into a whole conversation. How do you get the confirmation? It's usually done through a lead magnet where you say, hey, I know you're interested in this topic. Well, here's a little guide, about this. If you, provide me your email address. But basically that's how you take these visitors who are just, seeking information. Now you're getting them to enter your funnel. Then when you capture their email information, then again, you want to send it to your funnel. Now, I know you're interested in this, so now go watch this video about this. And if you're interested, if this video kind of is answering your questions, then I could definitely help you during, if you schedule a time with me. So it goes hand in hand. And
the sort of follow-on question here, we've talked a lot about, attorneys, just for that one sort of industry. Are there certain practice areas that you've found get more immediate results and benefit from these funnels compared to other practice areas where it takes a little bit more work or testing?
Sure. So this is a misconception about funnels, and I had to kind of go through this mindset shift myself, where I was like, okay, I understand funnels work for this type of law, but how am I going to make it work for this type of law? And I realized, the realization that I had is that funnels is a universal thing. It's not necessarily a series of pages. It just, it works for any type of law. It just comes down to your imagination of how can I create these ideas. Again, what I just shared with you guys with landing pages, all that stuff. How can I apply it for myself? So the answer is no. It works for any type of law, and anybody who says otherwise doesn't fully understand the power of funnels. So it really comes down to your imagination, honestly, and it's actually really fun. Us lawyers, were like, we get challenged, by something that we haven't figured out yet. And I can tell you, being in it, it's a lot of fun to, once you understand it, to start thinking about, okay, how can I apply this for myself? But the answer is, it could work for any type of law. Doesn't matter what it is.
So, I mean, it's funny, I'm planning a wedding and I'm thinking, can I ask everyone the questions that I want to ask of my attendee list just with a funnel, and maybe they'll fill in the spreadsheet that I need for them to fill out with the mailing addresses of all the attendees and everything. Good for the mother-in-law maybe too. But the question is, like, I think when people sometimes see these funnels, I'm joking, but there's sort of branding, maybe even personal branding, that you invested so heavily on your website. Now you're being told to take more of a formulaic approach. And I think for some people in our audience, and I've heard before, well, that looks, a little cookie cutter, or you've got this formula and it doesn't really convey my brand value. How do I sort of put my voice and branding in here? Or are you going to say, Sam, you're sort of getting in your own way? Like don't overthink it because this works, and worry about your brand, in other ways.
Yeah, exactly what you said for the opposite argument. It's actually very personal. A funnel, it takes that gray kind of, here's how I'm a lawyer, I do business law. Instead, flips it and makes it very specific about the clients, talks about the client's problems, and makes it very clear what I want people to do. So imagine, like, this is one of my funnels. It's a live funnel. People are becoming clients through this on a daily basis. Let me just show it to you. Imagine you get to this page. Hey, this is Sam Mollaei from EIN Express. I'm a business lawyer and I help entrepreneurs just like you get their EIN number. What if I could show you how to get your EIN without dealing with complicated legal forms? We've helped over 2,000 entrepreneurs just like you get their EIN. So let me know. Are you interested in getting your EIN? Okay. Just click the button below. Let me know. Yeah, it's so weird. I was like searching a minute ago on Google. All of a sudden, there's this person is telling me, "Do you need an EIN?" Yeah, I do need an EIN. Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's also these questions that I have about getting EIN. Now this person is about to answer those 3 questions for me and then tell me exactly what I should do. And that basically, and I drive them basically to my application. So it's actually better for the consumer because you're talking directly to them. It's personalized. You're talking to that. Literally, you're like, I'm talking to them, versus, this, this just pure text of, this is the type of lawyer I am. I graduated from my law school with cum laude and all this stuff that nobody cares about.
So I think that you're bringing up a really good point, which if you didn't pick it up, if you're in attendance, you're watching this video right now, what Sam is saying is that it is about the viewer. It is about the prospective client. Unfortunately, because there's just a lack of understanding around how becoming a lawyer works and what practice areas are and what specialties mean, that you might as well not even, bang your head against the wall trying to get them to understand that, when really they have a problem that they want solved, and they're used to, frankly, ordering Ubers on their phone and buying products on Amazon. And as a result, they are conditioned to prefer this experience that basically productizes, to an extent, the services that you're providing. Now you're not, we have other webinars and go watch the YouTube video that we have on DIY legal products that could actually fit into here in terms of fulfillment in a really cool way. But what we're talking about here is not productizing your law firm. We're just talking about productizing the funnel and the process, that upfront introduction, right? And it is transactional, right? So I think, there is a fine line between saying, oh, we're your, friendly community member and, you can choose us if you'd like to. We're a member of the same town or village or city. Choose us because we're just like you, and you can tell that story. But at the end of the day, who gets the clients? The person who lays out clearly what the services are, how they deliver and meet the needs that your potential leads are facing, and tell them clear next steps. Because the main complaint is not, it wasn't a polished enough website for this attorney that I explored. The main complaint is, I think I can do it by myself, and I'm not sure where to go from here. It's either I'm in a DIY and I don't get the value in what's going to be delivered to me, which obviously the funnel makes very clear, or I'm really intimidated. I don't know how to navigate this 50-page website to learn everything that I need and then possibly navigate my way back to scheduling a consultation. We're simplifying, we're adding the information that you need to know upfront, and the rest will follow when you have that first appointment, basically.
And it also gets refined over time. So, what you just saw as, through conversations with my leads and clients, I know exactly what questions that they have. I address those things, and it becomes a much, better communication between me and the leads. And it's just, it's just better. It's not.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
I have one last question for you, Sam, and then you can go back to your offer, because I'm sure people want to know in the last few minutes, like, all right, so how do I get started with this right now? It seems like Sam has figured this out, and that's what I need. There's this new thing called Google Screened, and I think you were saying that LegalFunnel works very well with that. And you were an early sort of partner of Google Screened, is that right?
Yeah, let me explain to you guys what Google Screened is. So Google, I'm trying to think how much of the story I should go back. But basically, Google is going to be the dominant way for Google to show you to potential clients. That's basically the gist of it. It's basically Google's pay per lead service, where you pay per 30-second for a minimum 30-second call. And what's crazy about it is that, up to now, it's always been Google Ads. 99% of how to get clients online, for the most part, not 99%, but for the most part, it's been Google Ads. But now Google is now started offering these new types of ads that go above Google Ads. So whenever that happens, which happened to organic, is that, everything becomes less and less important. So yeah, there's a huge, it's so new, and there's a huge first mover advantage to it. I will provide a link to you guys that are interested in signing up for this program. I put it out there 4 or 5 months ago. I basically told my Facebook group, hey, there's this thing coming out, take advantage of it. Whoever that listened, I believe there was 30 to 35 students who listened. And little by little, I get messages here and there. They're like, oh my God, Sam, it's been amazing for me. Like, it's like one of the secret sauces. And again, it's going to be one of those things where it's like, I'm telling you, it's going to be amazing. Just go sign up for it.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's
well, and you can turn it off, right? Like all of these things that we're talking about testing, dip your toe in, make the investment and see if it works for you. Don't just take, our word for it, Sam's word for it, or other colleagues who might be chatting about it on Facebook. Now, the Google Screen, is it an application process? What sort of the time involved to get started?
Yeah. So in order for you to get on Google Screen, basically you need to pass Google's qualification. It's basically then to do some background search to make sure that you are a lawyer, that you have reviews on Google. And basically Search Kings, which is the company that Google partnered up with, basically does all the onboarding for you, helps you with the onboarding. And then second part is they also manage it and also give you some good data once you start doing it. For example, by me working with Search Kings, I started learning about, what it takes to succeed with Google Screens. And let me just add more value to you guys. Here's what Google cares about the most. By far, the #1 ranking factor is responsiveness. how likely you are to actually pick up the phone, a good solution for that is Smith AI.
There you go, 24/7.
Yeah, so it's a must. If you are doing Google Screen, make sure that you sign up for virtual phone service like Smith AI. Second thing is reviews. The more reviews you have, the more you'll be able to stand out and more calls you get. I've been preaching about how important Google reviews is, but now it became even more important because of this. It will make a huge difference when somebody, searches for, whatever, bankruptcy lawyer, and you have 300 reviews versus somebody that has 10 reviews. People are going to call you first. And the third is there's some stuff about once you do a Google Screen, you want to be very specific on what type of leads you want. The answer is you want to get very specific. So don't just select everything. I want calls for everything. No, just select maybe the top two. And you will do.
And can you speak a little bit more to that? So what type of leads you want? Is that practice area? Is that a scheduled appointment? Is that a phone call? What sort of
it's the niche.
There?
Yeah, it's the niches inside of a certain practice type. So for example, this is a personal injury. So for personal injury, I want to get very granular and get very specific that I only want these certain job types. I don't want to just check up everything.
Perfect. Okay. So we understand, if this is family law, you could be seeing something around custody, divorce, separation, restraining order, who knows?
Yeah, right? you just want to go target just the top ones.
Mm-hmm. And are you seeing any particular success in certain areas around Google Screen? Is that Google Screen showing for every different legal practice area? Is it in every city?
Yes. I'm not sure whether for all cities, but pretty much 80-90% of practice types are covered. More extra value for the people that are here. You guys get insider information that nobody else has. There's two particular types of law that do really well with Google Screens. It's bankruptcy and criminal law. And also that's the highest level that do it really well. A little bit lower level is immigration, family, and estate planning, and PI. And then everything else also does well, but those ones are like the exceptional ones. So again,
those are the top two
bankruptcy, immigration, family, and estate planning, PI, employment, things like that. And then the other ones that I'm sure will do well as well.
No, absolutely. And also, it's a factor of what the volume is right now on those practice areas. We know that this year with COVID, it's been a huge surge in a lot of estate work. So, that's a factor as well. Immigration is starting to, resurge again. So, take that into consideration, but there's no reason not to try it. Now, Sam, how can they get that awesome list of resources, and what are the next steps here in general?
Sure. So I do want to give some extra value to you guys that are here and give you guys a one-time offer for you guys to join. If you guys are interested in these concepts, first of all, let me know whether this has been valuable.
And you can join the Facebook group regardless, right? I'm a member. I don't know if that's just a special thing that you did, but.
So something you guys could do is to join my Facebook group. I share a lot of value up front. I share things that my mentor doesn't want me sharing. He's like, so okay, stop sharing. But the Facebook group is called LegalFunnel Members. Feel free to search for that. I'll also put the link here in the chat. That's the first part. And also wanted to make an offer for those who are part of this webinar. Let me just go through it. So again, there'll be a special one-time offer to join LegalFunnel, only for 2 days attendees. The program is called LegalFunnel Mastery. It's basically a 6-week program where I hold your hand, I provide you all the instructions, all the, from all the past experience that I had from this, and I really just literally give you everything. I was raised kind of as like in a very giving family, and I'm like the same way with my students. I give everything. It really comes down to these 3 big things. One is, again, the funnel, how to create this automated way to generate clients on your own, where you don't really depend on a marketing company. Second is how to automate your law firm, where you're able to not answer emails. Imagine a world where you don't have to answer emails. Imagine a world where there's people that are doing your work for you. That's how I'm able to even do LegalFunnel, is because I create the systems and I kind of automated it, and they're running on their own in the background. That's the second part, how to automate yourself. And third is how to get a lot of Google reviews. There's a very systematic way of that I teach about how to get a lot of Google reviews, and I teach all that inside the program. It is $499.95. Wrong way to say it. $4,995 or 2 payments of $20.50. If you guys are interested in joining, the domain is legalfunnel.com/join. The offer does end on Thursday night for those that are interested. Also offer people that need a little bit more hand holding. I do have, if you guys need one-on-one time with you, every week I'll meet with you for 30 minutes to make sure you're on the right path. If there's anything that you need to address, I'll address that with you. Some of our students find that to be very valuable. I'll also share with you guys, for those who joined before Thursday night, it's called the one-liner. This is, imagine, instead of all the language that you could use on your website and your funnel, imagine one line that you could use that kind of summarizes everything about how you can help your clients. I learned this a couple of months ago, and it's been game-changing for me. For every business and for every law firm that I create, I require this one-liner. It's like, what is your one-liner? And I teach this, and you'll be able to get this PDF of how to create your own one-liner for yourself. And I also wanted to answer some questions, just if you don't mind, Maddy. Just let me quickly go over these.
Yeah, absolutely. And this will be recorded if anyone has to go, so feel free to watch the end, or if you have to go, no worries, you can watch it later.
I'm going to go right into it. So will it work for my area law? The short answer is yes, for any type of law. 100 past students from all facets of law that you could possibly imagine. So I don't have to list every type of law. Can I have an assistant attend for me? As an attorney myself, I know that time is limited. So if you don't have the time yourself, then no worries. You can have, bring somebody who's in-house, maybe a little bit younger, whatever that is. You could have them, you could enroll them through the program, so you don't have to go sit through yourself. Do I need to have technical knowledge? No. I make everything as simple, as easy as possible. I provide you guys everything. Even there was only one technical part, and even that I refined it over time to get that off your hands. I basically hired a VA that said, instead of you trying to do this yourself, just fill out this intake, and then my team will take care of it for you. How can I fill in this program? Honestly, it just comes down to your mindset. If you're open, you're intrigued. If you're intrigued about these things, you're on the right path. There's a lot to learn from this and apply. But if you're not, if you're not open-minded, you're going to question it, don't sign up. What recurring costs will I need to invest to make this work? Long story short, $150 a month to pay for ClickFunnels, maybe for Calendly and some other tools that I recommend. Again, everything will pay for itself times 10 easily. How much time commitment is needed a week? Basically, what I do is I send the recordings of the course on Fridays. And then you have from Friday throughout the weekend until Monday night to watch the recording. And then on Tuesday mornings, we all meet on Zoom on a not as a webinar, but as a meeting, where we basically do a live coaching. I review everything, I answer any questions, I share even more secrets and more things together. So all in all, I think about 2.5 hours, 3 hours a week in a, again, 6-week program to be able to commit to this.
You're benefiting from the group's questions that you may not have thought of yourself, which, for a lot of folks, I think that's valuable.
For sure. And the networking, and we share things with each other. I think I create this kind of like giving kind of attitude inside of our group, and everybody does the same. Will I own the funnel? Yes, you own everything yourself. Again, I know what it's like to be an attorney myself. You don't want to be held hostage by anybody. You own everything yourself. I believe in holding your own equity. I believe in owning a home versus renting a home. So I believe the same thing. These funnels are kind of like online real estate. You create it yourself. You want to own it, so you can be able to grow over time, and nobody else will own it for you. Yeah, that's it. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll put it in the chat. It's legalfunnel.com/join. And I'm very open. If you guys want to join my Facebook group, ask questions there, or whatever that is, feel free to join. Maddy, I also want to give props to you. I've seen you being very active the last couple of years. I think you've been a great resource for everybody else. So great job with everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
And I look forward to connecting with you guys on a one-on-one basis, and for me to be a part of your success. Yeah, I'm here for you guys.
Thank you so much, Sam. I really appreciate you going into detail and sharing and disclosing a lot more than I think many folks here have watched, a simple sales pitch webinar, and we really got into the content, the meat of the issue, and answered some questions that whether or not you move forward with this specific funnel program, you are better equipped to capture and convert the leads online. But you can see the value here. So it is something that you should definitely explore. Get in touch with Sam, at least join his Facebook group. I'm in there. Really collaborative, welcome, warm environment. So get in touch with Sam. If you need any help from Smith.ai, use the code webinar100 and you'll get $100 off your first month. That is in addition to our free trial, which is 20 calls, 20 chats, up to 14 days. We would love to show you what we can do and how well it works with the systems that Sam is talking about. So everyone, thank you for joining us today, and have a wonderful holiday season if you're watching this at that time. If not later, have a great day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.